Mr. President, Honourable Judges, allow me to thank you for the opportunity to speak before your chamber today. At this hearing, which brings my appeal trial to a close, first of all, I would like to express my deep compassion for all the victims of the deadly war that brought mourning to my beloved country, Rwanda, beginning on October 1st, 1990. This situation worsened dramatically after the attack of April 6, 1994, and the incalculable consequences that followed without any distinction. I extend my deepest sympathy to all Rwandan and foreign families who lost their loved ones in this indescribable tragedy. Allow me, however, to pay special tribute to my father, my mother, my 2 older brothers and my 2 sisters, who were brutally murdered by the RPF in July 1994. May their souls rest in peace, Mr. President. Since you are giving me this opportunity, and without any intention of repeating my defense, I would like to express my deep disappointment regarding the judgment rendered against me by Trial Chamber 3 of this United Nations Tribunal, which had initially inspired confidence and hope in me. I was deeply distressed to see that my first judges were unable to understand that I am the victim of a campaign of demonization, orchestrated by the new victorious regime in my case. This propaganda was relayed and amplified by the late Alison Day Forges. Her expertise for the prosecution was based on unverified information gathered from individuals whose interest was to gain favor or sympathy from the new authorities in Rwanda. Among these purveyors of false information were witnesses for the prosecution, including Burr, ZBH, AJP, and Gahizi. They boldly came to repeat their falsehoods under oath before this tribunal. They were exposed here, but strangely, without any consequence as a result of this misleading propaganda. The prosecution falsely presented me as an influential authority, as a member of the so-called ACASU, and as a senior commander of the ESO. They claimed that I commanded all soldiers and gendarmes operating throughout the prefecture of Butare during April and May of 1994. The evidence presented before Trial Chamber 3, both by the prosecution and the defense, was more than sufficient to demonstrate that the status and authority attributed to me were completely unfounded. The best example is the witness Gahizi, who, with great persistence, even claimed before the chamber that I possessed supernatural powers. It is simply absurd. In reality, my defense clearly established that as a staff officer I was not a unit commander, and that I had no soldiers under my authority during the period when I was in Butare. This means that no mission, no order, no authorization, no logistics, and no sanction could have come from me. Only the commanding officer of the ESO, who was always present, had the authority to do so. Our regulations were clear and unambiguous. Faced with this undeniable reality, Trial Chamber 3 erred in its conclusion. It concluded that, even though no evidence established that I gave orders or missions, my responsibility was nevertheless engaged through my alleged participation in a joint criminal enterprise. The chamber did not specify when, how, or where this enterprise was formed. The major issue in my trial is the failure to place the events in their proper timeline during that period, Mr. President, contrary to the label of criminal that the prosecution unjustly placed upon me. I state clearly and sincerely that I have always been a man of integrity, a loyal officer, honest and socially responsible. Even at the height of the events in April 1994, Tutsi families sought refuge in my home and their lives were spared. I am also a parent. My children are between 6 and 17 years old. They are being raised by their mother, who is herself of Tutsi origin. They live in exile in very difficult conditions. Without any assistance, I also care for several orphans of this terrible tragedy. Orphans who cannot understand the suffering they are enduring and who do not know where to turn. Mr. President, honorable judges, confident in your wisdom and professionalism, I dare to hope that the arguments presented by my defense will lead to my acquittal. Allow me finally to express my deep gratitude to my counsel, Mr. John Philpotary, and to the members of his team for their commitment and their remarkable work in my defense. I also extend my gratitude to the 43 individuals who agreed to come before this tribunal and testify to my innocence. May Heaven keep me calm and dignified in the face of my destiny. Mr. President, honorable judges, I thank you